Wright Show. It's dinger time. And with that very special introduction, we welcome you into the Joey Wright Show. It's the 4th episode of Season 2. I, of course, am your host, Joey Wright. This is my birthday episode, filming this on Tuesday, June 28th. My birthday is tomorrow. Of course, that's June 29th. And I like NASCAR, so it's my birthday episode. We're going to talk about NASCAR coming up on the other side of the break, and then we will have another edition of the Rundown, time permitting, because I can talk about NASCAR for a good long time. Real quick, I want to allude to this beverage I have. If I can get it out of the mug. There we go. I'm not a big Coca-Cola fan, but I'd like to thank my brother Tommy Wright for purchasing this Coca-Cola for me. And this will tie in nicely to what I have planned later with NASCAR. Just trust me on that one. Now, can't talk. I would also like to thank a few people for help with the video that you saw at the very start of the episode. I'd like to thank Colin Tarkowski, Sam Aaron, Andrew Kowalski, Peyton Borick, Andrew Ellis, Sam Reel, for helping me film that. Mainly the first three, but you know the other three certainly played a role in that as well. So coming up on the other side of the break, we are going to talk some NASCAR, and time permitting, we will do another edition of the Rundown. It's my birthday episode. Stick with us on the Joey Wright Show. Welcome back to the Joey Wright Show birthday special. Of course, my birthday tomorrow, June 29th, shared with the original iPhone. Came out on my 7th birthday, June 29th, 2007. And Jeff Burton also has my birthday. He's a former NASCAR driver and current analyst for NASCAR on NBC. We'll talk about NASCAR in just a moment. First, a few things I left out in the opening segment. Johnny and Tommy Wright helped me film for the Dinger Time video. They helped me film in and around my neighborhood, and my dog Rocky made a cameo. You saw me walking him in front of my house. Just seconds after we filmed that, actually, he attacked a small child. So we apologized to that small child, my next door neighbor. But, you know, no harm, no foul. The kid was fine. Rocky just was he's just trying to say hello, I think, and he took it too far. Rocky's a little overweight. We in the Wright household support him in his quest to try to live a healthier lifestyle. He's trying to shave down a few pounds. So we're behind you, Rocky. Just know that. You can do it. You can lose that weight. Good dog. He this incident with the small child not indicative of who he is as a Schnauzer mix. But we can talk about Rocky for hours and hours and hours upon end. We're going to talk about NASCAR, segue into that. First take I didn't really know what direction to take because so much happened this past weekend in the NASCAR world. And yes, I recognize that 95% of my regular viewing audience does not care about NASCAR in any way, shape, or form, but it's my birthday, I'm going to talk about NASCAR anyway, because I'm a fan. Fantastic week of action in the NASCAR world, in my opinion. John West Townley and Spencer Gallagher got into a little kerfuffle on the track at Gateway Motorsports Park in the St. Louis area. We can talk about that fight for hours and hours and hours upon end. It was a terrible fight, and I could beat any one of them, any one of those two in a fight, and you saw my athletic ability in the Dinger Time video. But the fight was not the main story of the weekend, and of course I encourage you to pause the video, go YouTube, John West Townley versus Spencer Gallagher or something like that. Watch that fight, watch how terrible it was, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But the main story of the weekend in the Sprint Cup Series, Tony Stewart taking the surprise win at the Sonoma Raceway. Tony Stewart, it's his final season. Held off Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. for the final 19 or 20 laps. And I got to tell you, I've been watching NASCAR since the 2006 Daytona 500. Jimmy Johnson won. I don't know if I've ever seen a display of driving that was as heartwarming. It was just a feel-good moment from Tony Stewart. At Sonoma on Sunday. He held off faster cars for 20 laps because he wanted to win. And he had his dad, Nelson Stewart, Fox was showing him on pit road, cheering him on. It was a fantastic race to watch. More heartwarming, I would say, than the Martin Truex Jr. win at Charlotte this past Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, that was a great story. Martin Truex Jr. winning for his girlfriend, Sherry Pollux. All she's been through with the cancer and whatnot. But Tony Stewart's been through so much adversity over the past 3 years. 2013, sprint car accident. He broke his leg, missed the remainder of the 2013 season. I think he missed 13 races. Next year, he was involved in the Kevin Ward tragedy, in which Kevin Ward, by no fault of Tony Stewart, was killed when he was struck by Tony Stewart's car. And people who know racing know that was not Tony Stewart's fault. So he had put that behind him. He had a pretty bad 2015 campaign. He was not a factor whatsoever. Started this year, he broke his back. I don't know what the exact injury was, but he missed his final Daytona 500 and all the races up to Richmond. That's when he came back. And he's been running well since then, but I don't think anyone expected him to take the win at Sonoma. But he did because he wanted it. He fought, drove hard, and it was fantastic. I'm a pretty quiet fan, but when he bumped Hamlin out of the way in turn 11 on the last lap, I was like, yeah, go Smoke, because that's his nickname. It was fantastic to watch. And Hamlin had that race won. Hamlin had got around him in about halfway through the last lap. Hamlin choked that race away, but Tony Stewart fought back. I mean, Tony Stewart could have given up. He didn't. He fought. Great race to watch. Congratulations, Tony. If you're watching this, you're not, for winning Sonoma. I'm behind you in your final season. Going to transition from that, my predictions for the remainder of the 2016 campaign. Obviously, NASCAR returning to NBC Sports for the second year in a row this weekend at Daytona. And I'm going to give my predictions from Daytona to Richmond, and then a little bit of the chase right now. Now, obviously, I'm pretty bad at predicting things. My regular viewers know that. But I know NASCAR better than I know any other sport, any other sporting organization. So I really think that some of these predictions could hold true. And let's start with Daytona. Now, my prediction for Daytona, you can't predict a winner going into Daytona, but I can kind of almost predict a winner. I think it's going to be one of the Toyota drivers, mainly Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, or Truex Jr. All 5 of those cars were fantastic in the Daytona 500. I mean, they were just the cream of the crop in the 500. It's going to be one of those Toyota drivers that wins a race with no major accidents. I know that when you go to a plate track, that's the one thing that seems to be a constant these days, whether it's Austin Dillon flying into the catch fence last year at Daytona, or the Talladega Wreckfest that was the spring race. But I don't think there's going to be any sort of major accident at Daytona this weekend. Now, there might be a pretty substantial big one that takes out a few cars, but nothing at the level of, cars flipping over into the catch fence or slamming the wall like Danica Patrick did at Talladega. That was a nasty incident. I don't think we'll see any of that. It's going to be just a standard Daytona race. Might have a big one that takes out some cars, but nothing that's overly bad, nothing that causes outcry for safety changes. And a Toyota driver will win Daytona. Going to Kentucky, I went to a Busch race at Kentucky in 2007, back when it was the Busch Series. Now it's the Xfinity Series. Stephen Light won that race. I think that was his only career win in the Busch Series. Kyle Busch, I think, is going to win at Kentucky. He seems to have Kentucky figured out. Now, it is an all-new racetrack with the repave. They made turns 1 and 2. They gave a little. Turns 1 and 2 are now banked higher than they used to be, and turns 3 and 4, it's the same configuration, but it is repaved. They've got a new downforce package there, so that also makes it a little bit different. But I think Kyle Busch survives all that, and he takes Kentucky. I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, but I have to call it. He's got Kentucky figured out. He's got to figure out some new things, obviously, but I think he's going to take Kentucky. New Hampshire, right after Kentucky. I like Kevin Harvick to win New Hampshire. He's got 379 laps led there since February of 2014. That's the most among active drivers, and I'm pretty sure it's the most among inactive drivers as well. I like Kevin Harvick to take New Hampshire. He runs well there. Watch for Happy Harvick in New Hampshire. To the Brickyard, Chase Elliott now. This is a bold prediction. Hear me out. I think Chase Elliott will upset and win the Brickyard. He's still a rookie, but he ran the Brickyard last year. It was one of his 5 or 6 starts last year. Finished 18th, and he's got Jeff Gordon as his mentor. Now, Jeff Gordon has won the Brickyard 5 times, including 2014, a race that I attended. He's got Jeff Gordon as his mentor. He finished 18th there last year. So I think Chase Elliott's going to upset and win the Brickyard 400. He's still technically a rookie, but he has 1 race of experience there. And he's going to punch his ticket to the Chase, even though if he keeps at the pace he's at, he's going to qualify for the Chase on points. But I like Chase Elliott to take the Brickyard. To Pocono, that's what we've got after Indianapolis, and I apologize. Allergies or something. Pocono, it's after the Brickyard. I like Penske to win that race, either Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski. Now, disclaimer, I hate them both. But they had Pocono figured out in the race there just a few weeks ago. Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano both overcame some form of adversity and fought back. I mean, Keselowski had had an early pit road penalty for unapproved body modification. I got thirsty. And he still nearly won the race. He finished third, got around Chase Elliott in the closing laps. It's a fantastic race to watch. Good battle between Kurt Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the end, but that's beside the point. Keselowski or Logano to victory lane at Pocono. More likely, I think, Keselowski than Logano, just because Keselowski fought back so well race earlier in the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if Logano took the win either. After Pocono, we go to Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen, the second and final road course race of the season for the Sprint Cup Series. It'll be on the USA Network because of the joke of this year's Olympics preempting it, moving it from NBCSN to the USA Network. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about the Olympics later in the season. You can count on that. This year's Olympics are a joke, but that's beside the point. I like A.J. Allmendinger. That's a great name. Great sponsor as well, the Kroger company sponsoring Allmendinger. My dad works for Kroger, so I like Kroger. I like Allmendinger. He's going to win his second career Watkins Glen race. He won the 2014 race there. 2014 race there is the best road course race I've ever seen. He repeats, I would say, never mind that. He wins his second Watkins Glen race. That's all I have for the Glen. Watch out for the Dinger. Bristol, Carl Edwards, I think, is going to sweep at Bristol. He seems to scoot around that place just better than everyone else. Not better than everyone else. I'm probably forgetting some other guys, but Carl Edwards knows Bristol. I think he's gonna go for the season sweep there and win the Bristol race, and it's a race sponsored by the NRA. I think it's the NRA, the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race at Bristol or something like that. I don't know if Bass Pro Shops titles it or sponsors it with the NRA, but I know the NRA is a presenting sponsor of the Bristol Fall Race this year, and I'm not a fan of that, just because it seems like a pointless political statement to make, in my opinion, but I can talk about that at a different time. After Bristol, we go to Michigan, and I'd like Austin Dillon to snag his first career W at Michigan. He seems to get around Michigan pretty well, and I think it's only a matter of time before he breaks through and takes a race. He hasn't won yet in his career in the Sprint Cup Series, anyways. But I think he's gonna take that first win at Michigan. That's a prediction that I don't really know about, and this next prediction that I'm going to make for Darlington, I really don't know about. I like Tony Stewart to get his first career Darlington win. He runs quick at Darlington, and he's going to be motivated. Sonoma showed that when he wants to fight, he can fight. He can claw at the field and win when he wants to. And we're going to see some of that smoke fight at Darlington, and Tony Stewart's going to take his first career Southern 500 in surprise fashion. After Darlington, we go to Richmond. Richmond, the final race before the Chase. I like Kevin Harvick to win Richmond, and I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Larson will point their way into the Chase with no wins. Obviously, what am I going to say from there? To describe the Chase to the average fan, which is what I was going to try to do, would be kind of difficult to do in the time allotted. I want to wrap this up within 5 minutes. So, Kevin Harvick wins. It means Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Larson don't get into the Chase on wins, but they point their way in and get into the Chase, take up the final 2 spots for winless drivers. And yes, Tony Stewart in this scenario gets into the top 30 in points. Gets into the Chase. Harvick wins Richmond. He's fast there. Jr. and Larson to the Chase. Larson has to pass, I think, for that to happen. Trevor Bayne, Casey Kane, and Ryan Blaney. And the way Kyle Larson's been running this season, I think he can do it. If he doesn't win one of those races, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Larson wins any of the remaining races before the Chase. Just the way he runs, he's had a great year. He almost won Dover. Dover was one of the best finishes I've ever seen. So if anyone breaks any of these predictions, watch for Kyle Larson. Could be Blaney, could be, a lot of fast cars this year. It's been a great season for NASCAR. So the Chase, in no particular order, made up of these drivers in this scenario. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, and Jimmy Johnson. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, Kyle Larson, A.J. Allmendinger, and Austin Dillon. Everyone having won but Larson and Earnhardt Jr. Now, the Chase is hard. I'm not going to even try to predict a whole lot of the Chase, but I do want to try to make some predictions about what I think will happen in the Chase for the Sprint Cup. I think Tony Stewart's going to surprise some people and get into the round of 8. He's not going to go to the Final 4, but he runs well at Dover. It's in the first round of the Chase. Talladega's a wild card race. You don't know who's going to win Talladega, so if he can just survive the carnage that race will be, I think he's got a chance to get into the round of 8. Final 4, which obviously won't include Stewart. I wrote my material last night at about 12:30 at night, so I just picked some random drivers that I thought had a decent chance at making the Final 4. Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, and Matt Kenseth. It's a toss. You don't know who's going to make the Final 4 these days. So I don't really think it'll include all of those 4 drivers. I like Jimmy Johnson's chances to win it all. I think him and Chad Knaus have finally got this Chase format by the horns, and they're ready to wrestle home a title, get him his 7th title. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, let me tell you, you get those guys firing on all cylinders, and they're firing on all cylinders. They can obliterate you if they've got what they've got. So I like Jimmy Johnson to win the title this year, but I'm not going to stand by that 100% because with the chase, you don't know who's going to win. I mean, you've got everyone in the chase in this this fantasy world has been running strong this year. There's my other half of the script. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenseth surprised some people, if Truex Jr. got into the Final Four for the second year in a row, if Kevin Harvick's made both Final Fours. You don't know. Let me tell you, NASCAR is in, I don't want to say it's in the best state it's ever been in off the track, but on the track, this is the best season of NASCAR racing I have seen as a fan. This chase is going to be fantastic. The coverage on NBC is going to be fantastic. I mean, NASCAR is it's heading in the right direction. Let me tell you that. I know a lot of fans right now are disheartened with the empty seats. And as a matter of fact, I was on Facebook last night asking for ideas in this group I'm in for a YouTube channel. Channel's called NASCAR Nixon. Check it out. He makes little compilations, top 5 videos, things like that. You'll know, of course, when you go to the video. Great channel. It's one of my favorites. Guy who runs the channel, Ryan Cook, suggested I talk about track attendance, attendance at the track. And, a lot of fans get disheartened when they see empty seats and just things like that. The sagging television ratings, myself included. But that's every sport these days. What you got to do, you got to lower the ticket prices, I went to the Brickyard in 2014 because my dad got free tickets. But no one wants to pay $90 to go to an event that's, losing its prestige so they can, see part of the track. I mean, $90 for a front stretch ticket at the Brickyard just doesn't seem worth it to the everyday fan. You got to lower the ticket prices a little bit. Don't have to slash them to like $5 a ticket, but if you $25 a ticket, maybe even a little higher. You can go up a little bit. It's the Brickyard, but $90. I mean, you can't take a family of 5 to the Brickyard. You got they let you bring your own cooler in. I'll give you that. But I just use the Brickyard as an example. I mean, no one wants to pay hundreds of dollars to go to Chicagoland. I mean, that's just not today's fan. So when you see all these empty seats, it's because the ticket prices are so high. You lower the prices so that NASCAR fans can afford them, and you'll see the stands will look better. It looks better for advertisers. I mean, it's just so much to talk about with track attendance. Fan attendance, I guess, makes more sense to say. It's just lower the prices. Lowered, and that's for every sport. I don't even know what got me started about that, but there was something. I don't know. And then another guy, Zachary DeCiancio, recommended I talk about an interview that Brian France did with Chris Myers on Fox before Sunday's race at Sonoma. For once, I thought Brian France made sense, except when he talked about the prospect of adding a halftime break to the Sprint Cup Series races. No halftime break for the Sprint Cup Series. Now, what you do, you take a halftime break, move it to the Truck Series, move it to just the Truck Series for now. We don't need a caution clock in the Truck Series, but I think a halftime break would be a nice compromise. That's what they did at the Truck Series inception, 95 to like 2001 or something. They did a halftime break. That'd be better than the caution clock, in my opinion. And if they were to have to choose between the caution clock and the halftime break in the Sprint Cup Series, I would prefer a halftime break, but I don't want to see either in the Cup Series. The Xfinity Series, I think it's inevitable that we get a caution clock or halftime break. Heaven forbid we get both. But I don't know. Brian France, I've never been a huge fan of his, but he made sense on Sunday for everything he was talking about, except that. Talked about just, the state of NASCAR and, he's always looking to improve the racing, and if they keep heading in the direction that they're going in, they'll improve that. So what was I talking about before I started talking about the fan attendance? Oh yeah, just how good the season's going to be. It's going to be a fun season to watch. You know, Daytona to Homestead, let me tell you, fans, we're gearing up for the best stretch of NASCAR racing that we have ever seen. I'm calling it. Not going to call a champion, of course. My favorite would be Jimmy Johnson, unbiased. I'm not a huge Johnson fan, but watch out for him and Chad Knaus going down the stretch. Of course, anything you'd like me to talk about on 2 weeks from now's show, episode 6, hit me up on Twitter, hashtag Joey Wright Show. Give me your feedback at Joey_Wright99. And I will certainly talk about more NASCAR if that's what the viewers want. Whatever I just did was more for the hardcore fan than the casual viewer, but if you're a casual viewer, a regular fan of the Joey Wright Show, stick with us because the third Joey Wright Rundown, just the Rundown, and it's not the Joey Wright Rundown anymore, third edition of the Rundown is coming up on the other side of the break. Stick with us on the Joey Wright Show. Stick with us on the Joey Wright Show. Back on the Joey Wright Show, I'm not sure if we'll edit out what I did with the Coca-Cola before we went to break, or as I was tossing it to the little break. But I gotta say, Coke, man, fix your bottles. I mean, I don't know what that was, but it's the second time this episode that I've struggled to take a simple drink of this beverage. Redemption. We're going to do a quick little rundown. Just going to talk about 5 random subjects. Not going to talk about any sports. Generate those real quick because I believe we are a little stressed for time. So the topics are food, husbands, trendiness, shaving razors, and term limits. Let me write those down. Food, husbands, trendiness, razors, term limits. And just for giggles, we'll talk about my birthday. So that gives us 6 topics for this edition of the Rundown. The Vancouver Canucks have been fined $50,000 for tampering. I got to tell you, the allergies in the air today are something. They are. I can't control my phone. They are real, folks. I'll tell you that. Timer is ready, and food. Food review next week on the Joey Wright Show. I will talk about food. I'm just going to buy a bunch of food from the gas station, eat it, talk about it, give you my thoughts. Some beverages, too, as an added bonus. Last year, the highlights of the food review included vanilla frosting combos, a box of lemon heads that I didn't enjoy, some other things, too. It'll be good. Next week on the Joey Wright Show, food review. Oh, man, the allergies. Aha! All right. Husbands. Well, husbands, obviously, are the opposite of wives, just in terms of, you know, whatever that means. You know, if you're a husband, that means you are obviously married, in a relationship. You can't be a husband, you know, by, I believe, the legal definition of husband if you are not married. So, as the timer expires, thank God. Trendiness. Well, obviously, I've never been one for trendiness. I make my own trends. You know, you can't, what do I want to say? Just because something's trendy doesn't mean it is the best product out there. like an iPhone, say, might be the trendy option when it comes out, but I'll take my Galaxy over an iPhone. What the hell did that door just do? I take a Galaxy over an iPhone any day. That was weird. It scared me. Shaving razors. Well, obviously I shaved yesterday. Didn't shave this morning. That's evident, I know. But I use an electric razor. It's a Philips Norelco little electric deal. It gets the job done. I'm a fan of the shave that it provides. Just keep things clean. So, you know, that is an unofficial endorsement for the Philips Norelco electric razor. Term limits. I am in favor of term limits. Obviously, FDR, the exception to the two-term limit trend that has been, I don't know. Term limits, I'm a fan. It keeps things balanced, keeps things just in check, so you don't have, you know, one president ruling for 8 terms and things like that. FDR, the only president in U.S. history to serve more than 2. He served 4, but he did a good job. So I guess they gave him 4. I believe that was 4 before the amendment was passed. But limited someone at 2. My birthday is tomorrow. I'm celebrating it this weekend, but it is tomorrow, June 29th. 16th birthday. I'd like a car, but that's not happening. I'd like to fix up the car that's in the driveway that doesn't work, so I can drive that. It's a nice car, 2009 Nissan Altima, but I just want some money, you know, MLB The Show, maybe a Walmart gift card would be nice, and some money. So that's about all that's going on for my birthday. When we come back, we will close down this episode of The Joey Wright Show and preview next week's episode. Stick with us on The Joey Wright Show, and let's see if I can finally get this right. I did it. Stick with us. Back on the Joey Wright Show. If you like NASCAR, I hope you like this episode. There's, of course, not much I can do if you didn't like this episode, but I hope you did. If you like food, however, I guarantee that you'll like next week's episode, the food review for the 2nd year in a row coming to the Joey Wright Show. Go to the gas station next door, buy food that looks good, bad, everything in between, and tell you what food to buy and what food to avoid. So I'd like to thank everyone who's made this episode possible. Obviously, Jason Leggett at UPTV, Johnny Wright for filming, Tommy Wright for filming and for this beverage, and then Colin, Andrew, Sam, and Peyton for helping me film the introduction as well. It was a lot of fun to film that introduction. More content of that nature will be coming throughout the season. So don't worry, it's all gonna, it'll be a good rest of the season is what I'm trying to say. I'd like to thank you for watching this episode of the Joey Wright Show. Happy birthday to me. Be a steak, don't be a salad. Oh, I wouldn't even close.